Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Okay, I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating because I've got another great guest for you today. His name is John Verrico, and I got to tell you, he has lived the life of adventure of a lifetime. He's a former military man. He's been in media for 40 years. He's a keynote speaker. He's an award-winning, did I say award-winning author? He's done he's an MC. He does all kinds of wonderful things, and he's here, and we have him for the entire hour. John, it's such a pleasure to see you again.
Oh, Kevin, thank you for having me back. It's always such an enjoyable opportunity to chat with you.
I tell you, first of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. 25 years in the Navy, and then add that to the government service, so a total of 42 years.
So I got.
I know rocks don't live that long, right? I know.
I know, but I got to ask you because somebody out there is going to say, "Are you part of the deep state?"
I'm part of the fifth estate.
I laugh at sometimes I laugh at people because it's like, did you know that there's a deep state that's running the government and nobody knows who they are? And it's like, oh, stop it.
Didn't you know they were aliens?
I didn't. Yes, Palladians, as a matter of fact. And they're wandering around waiting for us to change so that they can change us in all kinds of different ways and all that kind of stuff. But I don't believe any of it.
I have to tell you, Kevin, nobody hates politics more than I do, but I spent 42 years in government trying to avoid politics. There are a lot of people who work in government, whether it's at the federal, state, or even local levels, that do really, really good work, and they do it because they care about what they do. They care about the services they provide to the publics, and people don't get to hear those stories because they're overshadowed by the political drama and trauma and shenanigans. But so I spent my career just trying to make sure that those stories were told to the people that needed to hear them.
That is the essence of the government, because the government are us, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great programs that are providing services for the public. I mean, they're running our parks. They're ensuring our trash is picked up. Everything you can possibly imagine requires some government agency to be involved in it in some capacity, whether they're regulating medications or ensuring that our food is safe, helping to make sure that, the water's clean and the crops are, all that, everything has some tie to some government agency. So anybody who says that there's no place in the world for government, or we have too much government, all that. No, okay, try walking down the street. If there's no police, if there's no fire department to respond to it, or any of that, to an issue, I mean, that's all government, guys.
I got the biggest kick out of a guy I was working with in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, at the chicken plant, because I worked for a vertically integrated chicken processor for 6 years. And they, of course, had the FDA, had an office in the building. And he said, now look at that waste of government money, having those guys here all the time. We don't need that. And I said, well, you might rethink that if one of your family members caught a stereo or something, or something that came from the chickens. And because they did have the power to shut you down at a moment's notice if they tested stuff that was incorrect. But goodness gracious, we cannot depend upon the chicken processors to do a really good job of policing themselves because it costs money. And anything that costs money, they don't want to do. So any event.
Well, I mean, you also have to have parameters of safety, right?
Exactly.
If you don't set boundaries, people are just gonna do willy nilly, and you just don't know what you're gonna wind up with.
And they do, which is why I won't have any chicken nuggets in my life.
I've always wondered what part of the chicken that really is.
It is
It's all the leftover stuff. I
it's
know that.
it's mechanically deboned meat, which means what they do is they take everything they can possibly get out of the chicken, including the feet that they send to Asia, because for whatever reason they like chicken feet there. And then they take the carcass and they run it through. Oh, you got a story.
I'm just saying, chicken feet makes actually the best chicken soup. So now we don't use that in our family, but I've had chicken soup made from chicken feet, and it's amazing the difference in the flavor and it's good. Not when I say difference, it's a good difference.
You can't even find chicken feet in any store that I've ever been to in this country.
There are some specialty delis that you can get those parts.
But they're Asian delis, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Because they, in some ways, are smarter than we are. With some of the herbal medicines they use and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. I want to talk about you and the things you're doing today, because what you're doing today is nothing short of awesome. I'll just use awesome. That's a good word. So tell us what you were in the government for a long time. You were a spokesperson for the science department and all of that. But now you're retired, kind of, but you're not really retired, are you?
Kevin, I've come to a realization that retire is actually a hyphenated word, because you're tired and retired. I've not slowed down. I think I'm busier now than I was when I was actually working my full-time job.
Yes, so, you are.
So yeah, I was in, like I said, combination of military and government for a total of 42 years. And on the side, I was always doing some coaching and training and speaking, helping people to become better communicators, helping people to become better leaders, and most importantly, helping people to learn to treat each other better. And so when I retired from the government job, I was able to start pursuing this on a more of a full-time basis. And as I started getting out there and doing it, I realized there are so many people that are really facing some traumatic situations, and people who have faced trauma in their lifetime and have put them in a place where they're in despair. And we've seen so many people like this, and some of us may have been in that point in our life ourselves, to a point where, suicide is so incredibly prevalent in our society. And so I've been determined to try to do what I can so that people don't get to that point of despair. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory, because some of my backstory, but I'll tell this. I was a bullied child in school. I was a very small kid. I was 5'3", weighed 110 pounds when I graduated at the age of 18. So I was bullied a lot. I was the little kid in school. I know you were the big guy.
Yes, I was, dang it.
Yes. So, but I was made to feel like I was less than others, like I didn't matter. And you don't know this about me, but there was a point in time where I actually took the barrel of a shotgun and shoved it in my mouth.
Oh, no.
And the only reason why I didn't follow through, and this might be a little silly, but my mother was a clean freak.
That ain't silly.
All I could think of is how upset she would be, not about the loss of me, but having to clean up after that mess. And there was a realization there that I was actually thinking that she wouldn't miss me as much as she would be upset about having to clean up my brain matter all over the bedroom. And so I did not go through with it. But I did realize that there was something really wrong at that point in my life. And then as I progressed through my life and career, and when I was in the military, some of my shipmates could not deal with the separations from family, the stresses, and all that stuff, and they took their lives. And a good friend of ours who was a policeman went through some very tough times in his own personal life, and he used his service revolver in the worst possible way. And so all of these things have been traumatic in my life, and I was just, like I said, I've been determined that people should not be made to feel that way by others, and they should not be made to feel that way by themselves, because our own self-talk is our worst enemy.
Oh
So
yeah.
all of this coming around to 2024, I've met some really wonderful people, most of whom are fellow veterans, and they're just absolutely determined to try to do something to help these folks that are in that state of despair, try to prevent suicide, try to help people realize their self-worth, try to reduce the stigma that comes with mental health issues, that comes with being trauma survivors. And so that they can get to a point where they can ask for and accept help. And so that organization that has been put together is called Fighters for Hope. And so we are working hard and traveling around the country, giving programs where we can help people to stop circling the drain, and to find their value, their worth, and all that stuff, and connect them to the resources in their local communities that can actually help them.
It is, not only is it extraordinarily needed, but it's great that you are doing it, because there's so many aspects of this that a lot of people don't recognize. I was just thinking about my uncle, who was in the Navy and during Vietnam, and he came back and he had some mental health issues, and he was at Western State Hospital just east of Tacoma, and he decided to walk to my sister's house, or to my mom's house, our house, up I-5, which is the major highway up, and he was hit by 7 people, and of course he died. And the thing was, John, is that nobody thought, oh gosh, he had mental problems, he was depressed, he was this, he was doing the. Nobody thought that it was on purpose. And my thoughts are, he wasn't stupid. He knew that if he was walking up I-5 in the dark, that the chances of him getting hit were pretty high.
But you know what? He may not have done that even on a conscious level.
Maybe.
What and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist to make this assumption, but it very well could be that he did not consider it a danger because he didn't see the value, his own values. They didn't think about endangering himself. It's just, I'm just going to go and do this.
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing what happens, especially people who are transitioning. We're finding, obviously, what immediately comes to mind are people that are getting out of the military and then trying to connect into civilian life. I mean, one of our board members is a former sniper. How do you transition that to the civilian world?
There aren't a lot of job openings for that currently.
No, but there are some skills that you learn from that, right?
Yes,
Dedication, focus. So there's some things that you're able to apply. And he is a remarkable coach. He found a way to apply his discipline and his skills and his ability to laser focus on things, and he's able to then make good assessments of his target, but he can make assessments of people and help them to and realize what's going on in their life and help them out of it. So everybody, there is a way out. But people who are transitioning, whether they're transitioning from the military, maybe they're retiring as a first responder, maybe they were an athlete who became injured and no longer can associate with what they knew and how they reflected upon themselves and their own self-worth. Now they have a whole new thing going on in their life. all of these people who are going through these transitional types of things in their life, those are all people who are at risk because they can't make that connection to what do they do next. They find themselves, at a loss. I think we all go through that. Sometimes it's even just a micro thing, right? Like you wanted a pastrami sandwich for lunch and they were out of pastrami at the deli. And now what do I do? It's a micro grief, right? But we all feel some sense of grief at some point in our life. And you don't know how that impacts people. So if you start adding up all these little micro griefs, and all of a sudden, maybe it's like, oh, my life is crap. I couldn't get a pastrami sandwich. I couldn't, I got a flat tire, this, whatever it was, got turned down for a job all on the same day.
And it's because I'm not worth it.
Yeah. I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
That's self-talk. So yeah. I'm all about trying to help folks get past that and to actually see that they do matter, that they do have value.
John, I have to stop you here because I have to get this out. This is on my mind. It's been on my mind all day. I've got to say this, and that is this. There are people, first of all, there are people that are in the political world right now that are concentrating on positivity and joy and hope. And there are other people that are saying, "Oh, now come on, you wishy-washy little wimp that is doing that and trying to be good for other people and trying to help other people. You wouldn't be able to box your way out of a paper bag, and you're really nobody." And now I would like you to tell me who the president of this organization is and what he used to do for a living.
So if you're talking about the founder,
yes,
so that's Buddy Thornton. Buddy used to be a professional bowler, by the way. He was also a Navy corpsman back in Vietnam.
Who was the other guy?
Oh, the other founders. I knew who you were talking about. I just wanted a name drop for Buddy.
I knew about the bowler, and which is really cool because that's a hard thing to do. But the other guy
is Randy Boom Boom Blake Jr. Randy was a 5-time world champion kickboxer, but he was a bullied youth, and he found his way out.
So he gets it.
He gets it.
And the real men, I need to make a bumper sticker. Real men get it.
I love it.
Because these guys do. And they're now out there making a difference. And you're joining them to help with the understanding that there is another way. You don't have to do this.
There is a light. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not an oncoming train.
Whenever I have you on, I have to get a bump.
We do sometimes need to have a rim shot. I know.
but that is so true. And how long have you been working with them now?
I've only been involved for the past couple of months, and the organization has only been stood up for about 6 months.
And they got it started because what was their motivation? I'm sure I can pretty much guess, but what have they said? What's their stated motivation?
It's interesting. All of us have been kind of working in this space in different perspectives in different areas. I mean, Randy has been doing anti-bullying programs for kids. Buddy is a behaviorist. He's been doing all sorts of programs for veterans and first responders. Eric Ranks, who's another he's our acting president, and he has his own nonprofit called the Veterans Connection. He's been doing a lot of programs for veterans and such over the years. So all of us have been in this space, and we actually came together through a kind of a unique way. We're all co-authors in a book series called The Art of Connection. And The Art of Connection is a book series. It's on quotes, 365 days of quotes. So we were in transformational quotes, and this year's book was gratitude quotes. But we all came together to attend a military influencers conference last year. And we were attending that as representatives of the Art of Connection book series. and we started talking, and we started sharing our stories of how, the various trauma that we've experienced in our lives, or the people that we knew who that we lost, or that we almost lost because of this stuff. And Randy, in particular, had mentioned to Buddy that he was very impacted by the Power Rangers, who were kind of his idols.
Sure.
And the Green Ranger at the time had committed suicide. And he was so profoundly impacted by that, and he said, I need to do something. I need to do something. And so in relating these stories, we all said the same thing: we need to do something. And so that's when Buddy said, I've got the degrees and the PhDs in the behavior world. Eric has got the background in creating nonprofits. You guys have the heart and the soul that want to get behind this, and you also have experience as coaches and as speakers. So let's just do this. And literally, that's how it started to be born.
That is really cool. By the way, I have a trivia quiz for you. We've got to take a break, but the trivia quiz is one of my heroes from the 50s. Passed away by suicide, and he was a very special guy, and he could fly around and stuff. We'll talk about him when we come back.
You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. We're going to take a short break to tell you audio and music creators about our commercial affiliate, Lyric Vids, specializing in creating amazing and engaging lyric videos. Are you looking to promote your videos in the most engaging way, but you don't have an animator and an editor? Whether you're an artist, musician, or business with a message to share, our lyric videos are designed to hook viewers and amplify your reach. Go to positivetalkradio.net/lyric vids. That's positivetalkradio.net/LYRICVIDS now to get started. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. We hope you enjoyed learning about our affiliate Lyric Vids, who specialize in creating captivating animated lyric videos. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Positive. You didn't expect that, did you?
I love that. The music was great. I couldn't help but doing a little headbanging with it.
We're talking with John Verrico. Go to his website, please, johnverrico.com. Find out all about him. Share your fire. He's a motivational leadership, team building, and personal growth coach. He's been in the military for 42 years and government. He's been in media for that entire time. He knows more about media than most of us ever will, and including myself. I'm just fortunate enough to be able to talk to him here today. And John, do you know who I'm talking about that had an episode in the late 50s? And
yeah, it was George Reeves, who's Superman.
Very good. Yeah. That was, I was just a kid when I heard about that, and there was like, I didn't know what suicide was at that time.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things, and who would have thunk it? A guy that was on TV, that had the world, that he couldn't go anywhere without people recognizing him. He got to hang around with Lois Lane. I mean, Jimmy Olsen? What could be better than that?
You don't really know what's going on inside inside people's minds and in their hearts, and what they're really thinking. I mean, one of my idols, if you come fast forward to one of the greatest comedians on the planet.
I was going to mention him. Yeah. Go ahead.
And to find out that Mork from Mork and Mindy, committed suicide. I mean, that was horrific. You're like, here's the funniest guy. All he does is he makes people laugh. You would think that would help people bringing such joy to others, you would think that would be so rewarding in itself. But here you don't know what was going on inside of Robin Williams' actual mind, to know that he was going through depression for so many years and actually battling with that. And then ultimately to a point where he took his own life. And that's just, it's horrific. And it's so incredibly sad.
What a waste of talent.
It is. It is. But such a loss for the world of the joy that he brought to so many people.
Yes. And another one who died very, very young would be Freddie Prinze.
Yes.
No, I'm not talking about Freddie Prinze Jr. That's his son. But Freddie Prinze was in Chico and the Man.
Chico and the Man.
And was a really funny comedian.
He was a great comedian. My wife actually got a chance to meet him when she was like 16 years old.
Oh, that would have been big.
She had a huge crush on him.
He was a cute kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Even I admit that.
So John, I got to ask you, why do you think it is that people like that? He had money, he had looks, he had fame. Robin Williams had a health problem, which probably contributed to it.
Yeah.
But why do you think that someone like that doesn't believe that they have value?
I think sometimes people feel like they've got to be everything for everybody, and they forget about their own self-care.
True.
And when you are in that spotlight and all eyes are on you at all times, there are expectations that people have of you. And sometimes you just feel like you can't meet those expectations. It's like, hey, I'm tired. I can't do my show tonight. I'm wiped out. You can't get sick. You can't have a bad day. And so that starts to play on you. I mean, I've worked with celebrities. Peter Tork from the Monkees was a very good friend of ours. And that was a sad loss. Fortunately, it was not suicide, but unfortunately it was cancer. But, to be with him and to see how fans were constantly demanding of his time, of his energy, of his love. You can only give so much, and you've got to step back and have some quiet time for yourself. And if you don't have that healing regeneration time, then things can start to go awry. And what happens is we do this, even normal people, not just celebrities, but everyday folks. We're always trying to we're doing for our families. We're doing for, what the boss wants. We're helping our coworkers, whatever, always doing for others. And we forget our own self-care. I recently had a wonderful experience and the honor to speak to a group of rape counselors.
Oh my.
And, knowing the kind of work that they do, the biggest challenge for them is, and many of them probably were victims in their own right at some point in their life, which is why they went into that realm. But what happens is when they're counseling folks, they're taking on their trauma, right? They're relieving them of the trauma, but they're taking it on themselves in the sharing. And for some of those folks, it may trigger memories of their own issues. And so what they asked me to do was to come in and talk to them about realization that they're not alone. Because what happens is they take on this trauma and they forget to do exactly what they're advising others to do. And that's to ask for help. The biggest advice, and any counselor is that does this, right? They always are encouraging people, ask for help. And that's the challenge, especially with, veterans and first responders and guys who think they're all he-men and stuff like that, and tough, and women as well, who are going through that. I can handle anything. I'm not going to share my problem, my burden. Nobody cares. Or they won't understand, or they'll think less of me because of it. So they don't ask for help.
Yep.
Here these counselors were, and they were actually in that position. They got to a point where they're doing so much for others that they became overwhelmed, and they were forgetting to ask for help themselves. So my whole program with them was to remind them that they can ask for help and to make some human connections amongst the team and do some team building stuff to remember that they're not alone in the world.
whenever we do a show like this, and by the way, this is positive talk, so we will get there, I promise.
And
But
I was like, boy, we're talking about really deep, dark stuff here, man. But we're talking about finding the light to get out of that darkness. So that's the important part.
that's exactly right. And one of the ways that you can do that, if you feel like you're all alone, if you are in that place and you're listening to this right now, I want you to pick up the phone and call 988. That is a national crisis hotline. And those people can help you find help to get what you need wherever you are. They've got a list of folks that can help. And don't sit there by yourself. That's not healthy. We're a social animal. We need each other. And we need a good relationship with each other. So pick up the phone, call 988. We're talking with John Verrico. I got to tell you, you have the biggest heart of anybody that I know, because you are doing such good work, and you always have had it in you to do this work, whether it be share your fire or through your regular work that you do. And now you could be off golfing and doing, but no. You're off doing the work that you know that needs to be done, and working with a bunch of guys that also know the same thing and have been through the wars and have come out the other side. That's the important thing. And so we need to take a quick station break. And when we come back, it's just a minute, folks, just relax. It's 60 seconds and, and we'll be right back.
It'll be worth it.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we've got John Verrico with us today. He is an extraordinary human being. He's done a lot, 42 years in the military and the government. But he's doing more now. And do you find that your fulfillment level doing this is higher than before? Is it the same before? Is it just a continuation? What is it for you?
Oh, definitely higher. I was always fulfilled when I was helping somebody. I mean, in my time working in government as a media spokesman, and if I could help a reporter get a story, or if I can help some scientist, engineer, or whatever be able to tell their story and with pride, get some credit for the work that they do, that was rewarding to me. But now I'm not only making a small difference in somebody's career and life, but now I'm making a larger difference and perhaps can actually truly save lives. I feel like I'm making a bigger difference. And I think that's really all anybody wants out of life, to be honest with you, to prove that they matter, even if they're their only selves, but to prove that they matter and that they can make a difference. And I think that realization of being able to make a difference helps us, grow and have a wonderful life. My role in this world is to make a difference for as many people as I possibly can, and in as many positive ways as I can. I may or may not have made reference to this in the past. There's that old story, that adage about the starfish on the beach. I'm sure you've heard it, where there's an older gentleman is walking past the beach and he notices a young boy on the beach, and there are thousands of starfish that had gotten washed up on the beach. And he watches as this little kid is picking up one starfish at a time and throwing it back in the sea, one at a time. But there are thousands of them out there. And so the old man walks over to the young boy and says, son, what are you doing here? You can't possibly make a difference. There are thousands of them out here. And the kid reaches down, grabs another starfish, tosses it in the sea, and goes, I made a difference for that one. And so that in itself is pretty profound, but there's more to that story. And most of the time, the telling of the adage kind of stops there. But there's more to that. What happens is, after watching this for a little while longer, the old man reaches down and also picks up a starfish and starts tossing them in along with the boy. And then other passersby, as they see this going on, they all kind of start joining in. And next thing you know, all the starfish are saved and put back into the sea, because that kind of heart and that willingness to help is intrinsic in all of us. And when you can inspire others to do the same thing, that's where you really make a difference. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just to try not only to make a difference myself. I can only do so much, but what I can do is I can hopefully inspire others to get involved and make a difference as well.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm in, my friend. And my contribution will be, you bring anybody from the organization, anybody that you believe can make a difference, and they're on my show, and I'll have them on a lot, because this is a big deal.
I think so. We talked earlier about, you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. There's an ancient proverb, another proverb. I'm good on proverbs. There's an ancient proverb that says, if you live long enough, everything will happen to you. Yep. Which, kind of seems like a crappy reason to stay around. But no, I mean, at some point in your life, you'll be doing well, sometimes not so well. You'll be healthy, you'll be sick, you'll have money, you'll need money. At different points in your life, anything could be going on. But in one chapter of your life, you may be the hero of the story. In another chapter of your life, you may be the victim. But yet in another chapter altogether, you may be the villain in somebody else's story and might not even know it. So you don't know. Everybody's going through this. Everybody has things going on in their life, and you don't always know what it is. So maybe we should just stop all the crap, stop picking on each other, stop worrying about who's better than who, and just treat each other with some compassion and understanding. Together we can make a much better difference.
And the other way of doing it, there is no way out of it. Because if hate, division, and fear are self-fulfilling, and they stay. If you hate people because of who they are, who they love, what they look like, you are in a position of where you're eventually going to hate yourself because of how you feel about other people. And
think how much you limit your own self, because you will not take advantage of getting to know some of these other people, no matter what their color is, their race, their belief, their background, their, like you said, who they love. None of that makes a difference. They're all wonderful people, and they may have some joy to share with you, and you've just limited yourself because you've cut them off.
And some of those people are just remarkable human. Well, they're all remarkable human beings, but some of them are above remarkable.
Yeah. And you will never know, because you've cut yourself off. There was a tweet that I saw a while back, and some woman was ranting because Chick-fil-A had done some employee policies about being able to hire people from different cultures and not discriminating against sexual preference and all that stuff. And this woman just went off. I am never going to Chick-fil-A. It used to be my favorite place to go. I'm never going to Chick-fil-A again because they're willing to give, transgender people a job. Oh my God. Well, guess what? If it was your favorite place to eat, you just denied yourself from eating your favorite food because you don't like some people that have no impact on your life in any way, shape, or form. You've decided that you don't like these people. Why? What's the big deal? What they do has no impact on you. You just made it have an impact on you by denying yourself the Chick-fil-A that you loved so much because of what you thought was a policy you didn't agree with.
Exactly. There was a vice president of the United States, and I won't use his name, and his daughter was also in Congress, and he was at one time a staunch anti-gay individual until his other daughter came out of the closet. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from him anymore. You don't hear any of that stuff anymore because he realizes that somebody he loves is a gay person. And so what? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I have two friends of mine. And I tell you, John, every time I look at them, they've been together for 20 years. Every time they look at each other, you can see the love in their eyes to each other. They are the most grounded married couple. Thank God they can do it now.
Right.
The most grounded married couple of anybody I know. And if we all could just be around other people. You were in the military. You had all kinds of different folks around you. So you learned the differences. But there are people who only hang out with their quote unquote kind. And they expand yourself a little bit.
You've limited yourself for all the things that this wonderful world has to offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is such a shame. And it would be nice if everybody, well, you know what? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it will be great when we start doing that. Taking care of each other.
And, so there was a scientist who was examining archaeological culture and trying to determine when the first evidence of civilization started to show up in archaeological finds. And everybody thought, well, it was, the first tools that were made or pottery or the first time, housing structures were done. And the essence came out in the study was that it was actually a broken femur, which predated any tools and anything else. It was a femur, a leg bone that had broken and healed. Now, in the animal kingdom, if you break a bone, you become food for everybody else. You no longer can feed yourself. There's no healing. There's nobody's helping you until you get better, right? You can't feed yourself. You can't hunt. You can't go to the water hole and you die, or, as you become more feeble, like I said, you become prey. But the fact that this was a healed femur, a healed human leg bone, it proved that somebody took care of that individual long enough for that leg bone to heal. It proved that somebody brought them food and took care of them while they were healing. And so that was the actual first indication of civilization in the world, was the fact that somebody cared for another. I don't know the date of that femur. I wish I did, remember that part of the article, but that's what civilization is really all about, caring for each other. And that's what we're here on this planet for.
I couldn't agree more. And the work that you're doing with these guys is helping to move that along, and for us to care for each other. And if you can save, and hopefully, John, somebody will be listening to this broadcast at either an hour later, and they will say, I think I'll call 988 and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And
it's okay to ask for help. Do it.
Yeah. And we might help them save themselves and then lead a life where they can, their children. Can you imagine not having the opportunity to have children and grandchildren and all the love that people give you because you did something that was a act that you didn't see any way out of, but just give it time and talk to somebody and get the help you need.
Yeah, we all know that sometimes life will deal us, a bowl of crap. There are bad things that happen to us. There are unfortunately some bad people in the world that do horrible things to each other. We encounter them in our life, and we have a choice of how we let those things impact us and the future of where we're going in our life. I was going to say make better choices, but really, I mean, it's kind of a silly way to say it, but really what it comes down to is we do not have to let all the crap that happens in the world impact us. We have the opportunity to make a choice as to whether or not that's going to impact us. I could have, just accepted the fact that I was less than others. I could have, just decided that I was worthless. I could have pulled the trigger. I didn't. But I could have also continued to lead my life as if I didn't make a difference. And so I could have gone through and not done anything for anyone else. I couldn't have done nothing for myself. I could have maybe just been, scraping by for my whole life. But it would be based on the choices that I made. I chose not to let that stuff keep me down. I chose not to let the bully win. I chose not to let any trauma that I experienced impact me for life. I took the hard times, the bad times, and used them as a learning experience and helped me to grow and get stronger.
Do you know that in my belief system, that's why we're here? And that's why you have good times, you have challenging experiences, because as you go through them, you grow and
Yes.
you learn so that you can become better and can help other people. I mean, we've all had what I call a bad country music song period.
Yes.
I had that. My dad died. My dog died. My wife died. I lost my house. And
my pickup truck won't start.
I ran a U-Haul into a bridge, which is a
Oh,
story.
well, there. Okay, that's a whole nother story. I got to hear someday over a beer.
But those things happen, and it's how you interpret them. Does it mean that you're a bad person? That when I got divorced, all my friends left? Was that my fault that they all left and went with her? No, that was the deal, and it was okay, because you know what? I don't want to be friends with people like that. And so it just depends on how you view it and how you decide that you're going to overcome it and become who you really are. And that's the I tell that story and people go, "Oh, that poor man. Good Lord, all his friends left, nobody to talk to and stuff." And it's like, yeah, you know what?
But look where you are now. Look where you are now. Look at the impact that you're making on the world with Positive Talk Radio.
I know.
Look at the light that you're bringing to the darkness of so many people.
And the cool thing is, John, is that you and I both know we put our pants on one leg at a time. We are the same human being as everybody else. We're no better or no worse than anybody else. We've just made a decision. Your decision is to work with the group you are. My decision is to do Positive Talk. And both of them are driving our success and making our lives better and other people around us.
Yeah. And that's the key. That's what I've always wanted to help other people not to experience the darkness, if at all possible.
Yes.
That's why I started Share Your Fire. Share Your Fire is all about helping people to see that light in the darkness in their own life, and also to share that light with others. You go back to the old classic monster movies. This is what I was inspired by when I was a kid.
I gotta ask you about this, so go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was this little kid getting picked on in school, my inspiration, Superman and comic book superheroes were an inspiration, but I knew that getting a superpower really was not legit and wasn't going to happen to me. So not that kind of a superpower anyway. I've got a different superpower now, but my inspiration was in old classic monster movies, because I found that in the old classic monster movies, no matter how big and bad and nasty the monster was, the little guy still won.
Yep.
And what happened when they were looking for the monsters, right? Monsters are the things that we fear. Monsters are the things that cause us fear. And what we fear are the things that we can't see and we don't understand, things that are in the darkness. So what was the first thing that would happen when they were looking for the monster? They would all grab torches and go out looking for the monster. Everybody thinks that the torches were representative of the fire that they brought and the fire that they would use as a weapon against the monster. That wasn't it. The reason why they brought torches is because they didn't have flashlights. Right? Torches was how they brought light into the darkness. So they brought the light into the darkness, and they would either be able to see what they were looking for, or realize that what they feared wasn't really there at all, or would actually scare away the monster because they brought the darkness out to the light. That's what the whole concept of using a torch is about. And so that's why also it was many people with torches. There's another saying, one of my favorites, is you don't have to blow out my candle to make yours burn brighter. But the two of us together with our combined light can spread light further and eliminate the darkness for more people. So that's what's behind Share Your Fire. That's what's behind the torch. By the way, I think I've told you this in the past, but the torch is actually an acronym for those things that we need to keep ourselves and others motivated. And that's trust, opportunity, respect, communication, and humanity.
Another bumper sticker. I love that, because that's really cool. When we come back from this last break, it's 30 seconds long, so shut up. You'll be right there. Stay right where you are. And when we come back, I gotta ask John about his very unique own private room, which is his man cave, and what's in it. We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. You know, John, I have to play these commercials because, like, when I was playing Covenant House, when I play that one,
Yes,
they really resonate with me as being an important message that people need to hear. To be a good dad.
I love that. Anybody could be a father, but it takes somebody special to be a dad. That's amazing.
And there are so many guys that miss out on the very special relationship that a dad can have with his kids.
You know what? My wife and I did not have any biological children of our own, but we were fortunate enough to meet a young lady many years ago who just, I guess, needed a little guidance. She was a great kid. She just didn't have good adult role models in her life, and somehow she thought we were adults. But we took her under our wing, and we trusted her, and we gave her love and respect and confidence. And she calls us mom and dad. We refer to her as our daughter, and we've known her. Now she's been in our life well over 20 years. We met her when she was 18 or 19. She just turned 44. She still calls us mom and dad. We still call her our daughter, and we still have that love. And I said, it worked out nicely because there was no pain at childbirth for my wife. Didn't have to change any stinky diapers.
Yep.
We didn't pay for college, but we've got somebody, in our life, now who can take care of us in our old age. and she laughs and she goes, "Now, Dad, you weren't there changing my diapers, but so I'm not going to be changing yours, but I'll hire somebody to do it." And well, that was just as well.
My children say the same thing. Say, Dad, there's not a chair, not a chair.
But that love, that relationship just means more than anything to us. And so I don't understand how people who do have their own biological children can't relate to them or want to spend the time with them. I see that so much, especially in when I was working in Washington, D.C. I saw so much of that, people just ignoring their children because they're so focused on their careers.
Yeah. Speaking of focused, you spent your whole life, and we just found out that when you were a kid, it was superheroes that you were. But tell us about what you've decorated your man cave with.
So yeah, I was fascinated. Yes, superheroes were one thing, but my reality check was with the monster movies. So I have, because I love the monster movies, especially the classic ones, the old ones, the Universal Studios stuff, and because I'd learned so many lessons from them, I surrounded myself with a collection of monster memorabilia. So I've got, figures and models and, dioramas of all these classic monsters. And I have, I don't know how many thousands of pieces, individual pieces in my collection, but in our old house before we moved here, which I haven't completely unpacked my collection yet and got it set up, but in the old house, it was set up in the basement, and it was wall to wall, floor to ceiling, shelves full of monster stuff. And a local newspaper came and did an article about it, and they called it my demented man cave. Because I've got, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all these monsters all over the room, and it's a load of fun.
Where did you put the Blob?
The Blob was there. I actually have a couple of models that I've built of the Blob. I got an old a diner, a little model of a diner from an old train set, because there were all kinds of buildings that you can get for your train sets. So I found one of a diner that, those trailer type diners, traditional 1950s diner. And I put a clear silica over the top of it and tinted it red. So the Blob over the diner, that famous scene, that was one of the things. And I love to build and paint these models as well. That's my therapeutic time. That's my me time, is to go and do that kind of stuff.
You do realize that anybody under 50 has no idea what the Blob is, because they've never seen that movie.
Well, they've redone the movie a couple of times, but what they need to do is forget about the one in the 90s, forget about the more modern version. They need to go back and look. And there was one in the 70s, by the way. There was a sequel that was just terrible bad, but a whole lot of fun because of its badness. We love the bad, cheesy movies too. But the original one from 1958, you need to go watch that because it's just a hoot.
That is the one. That is the one. And then, of course, the Teenage Werewolf, which was Michael Landon and stuff. We're dating ourselves.
Think about the I Was a Teenage Werewolf. That whole story was about being a misfit.
Yeah.
Every one of those older classic monster movies, there was a lesson to be learned from it. Absolutely. Frankenstein was nothing more. Frankenstein was not a monster. Frankenstein was a neglected special needs child.
Who was misunderstood.
But who was also abused.
Exactly.
He was abused and made to feel fear. And all he was ever met with was fear and anger. And so those are the only emotions that he learned.
John, I got to tell you, John Verrico has been our guest, by the way. Go to his website, johnverrico.com. There's all kinds of things that you can do there. One I'm not going to mention because I'm going to do it. So shut up and leave it alone.
Do it. Come on, guys. Join me in that book.
Exactly. There's a co-author with me segment there that you can join John and me. And you can do a little segment. It's just 120 characters, 1,200 characters.
1,200 characters, yeah. So if I may take a second or two to quickly describe this. I mentioned earlier the Art of Connection book series, which is where I met these wonderful people from Fighters for Hope. And by the way, go to fightersforhope.org. Check us out. find out about the programs that we offer. And if you have the heart to do so, feel free to make a donation. But anyway, I met these folks through this Art of Connection book series. And each year a book comes out. It's 365 days of quotes. The first one I was involved with was inspirational quotes, then transformational quotes. This year's book is the gratitude quotes. And what we're now doing is recruiting authors who want to contribute to the 365 days of abundance quotes. And so we're looking for people who have a good feeling of abundance and want to share that with the world. And it's a single page that aligns with a date in the calendar year. And it's a 1,200 character words, not a whole lot of words that you have to write. But it's in a very short amount of time, a short commitment of time. You can become an international best-selling author. So check it out on my website. It is Be a Co-Author with Me. It's on the johnverrico.com. There's information about my experience with the Art of Connection folks. There's a link to how to order a page. There's a sample page there, but please check it out. Reserve the page. We're actually trying to get that book filled so it can be published in time for 2025.
You are a wonderful man, and I know your daughter thinks so. And I want to thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you so much for having me back, Kevin. I love talking with you and with your listeners.
You're coming back again and again and again, because good people like you that are doing good things in the world, I need to hold you up as a shining example of what is possible, what you can do. And anybody can do it. So I want to thank you for being that shining example.
Thank you so much. And thank you for letting me share my light with you.
Do that again. I'll do it again one more time.
Let's see if we can do it again, right? Because we each have our own motivational fire deep in our heart, deep in our soul. And in here, we can pull that fire out and share that with others.
He just lit a fire in his hands for those that are listening on audio. And it was magic. It was wonderful. So, John, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much again, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.